Romane, uh, I'd reached out to you recently to kind of find out from you what are some of the challenges that you have. You told me two, but the one I want to really focus on for this session is when you mentioned that you have a challenge coming up with ideas for social media marketing content, right? And a part of that problem that you believe is because you've only been freelancing, doing your thing for the past 2 years, you don't really believe you have much extensive experience to really come up with content ideas. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. I've not gotten I've not gotten a lot of results. I think the results start coming in about last 1 year. Yeah, where I see that I'm getting the results for the clients and I'm saying, okay, this is what's happening and this is how this should actually be done. And I think even it started when I started doing the marketing research because how I would normally approach content, I'll just go, come up with content ideas and just post them on a client's page and work. And, it's like a guessing game. What works, it works. All right, this works. Go ahead. And then I think for the last maybe 6, 7 months, I started approaching it differently. I started doing the marketing research or the customer interview, talking to the sales team, talking to their customers, and just getting a better idea of, what problems they are facing and for the existing customers, how did they find them? Well, how did they solve their problem? Asking them those questions and get a better understanding of what is happening.
Right. And well, it sounds like you have everything handled. So where do you see the gap in terms of being able to create content ideas? Because I mean that's a lot of the process I use as well. So I'm just curious as to where do you see the gap?
I think one is the time. I'm running an agency right now, DSP marketing agency. And sometimes I don't really have the time to actually go and like actually research to come up with the content ideas. I would write like my checklist or my task that okay, I'm gonna do this tomorrow, I'm gonna do some research. And based on the volume of work that I have to do, like community management in terms of responding to the clients, I'm like responding to like 50, 60 customers per day, and I kid you not, like 7 days a week. So by the time I'm responding to all of those customers for our clients, and then the other things that I have to do, I'm drained, I'm tired. For that 9 hours, 10 hours that I'm working for, and it's like, oh God, I should have done some research to come with some content ideas. I think that's one the gap. And I don't know if you call it writer's block. I don't know if that's what I'm experiencing right now. It's like, oh, all right, what's the idea? What am I supposed to do? I know I'm supposed to do like the buyer's journey, using that as a framework to go through, each aspect, but I don't know, maybe my mind just tired, and maybe because of maybe fatigue, I think maybe why there is a gap. Why I'm not getting a chance to think of the ideas to come up with the content to post on LinkedIn. Yeah. But I've
Right.
been posting for 3 months now. So
Yeah.
far I'm pretty proud of myself.
I definitely get that, and it's funny because Juma Bannister, I believe his last name is out of Trinidad. He made a post this morning about the whole just start creating content, and my whole response to that. Well, let me clarify. So he was saying he used to believe in the idea of just start creating content. He doesn't believe it anymore. And a lot of the reasons he mentioned was some of what he just spoke about, where life happens, you have so many things going on, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
either don't have the time or you don't really know what type of content to really come up with. And I kind of struggled with the same thing for I mean, just like you, starting out, I had a lot of great content ideas. I posted content. Of course, they definitely worked. But then it became a point in time where I didn't really know what I was supposed to create. I mean, I had content ideas, but I wanted my content to really align with what my business objectives were and not just me posting just for the sake of saying, hey, trying to be consistent on LinkedIn, which is where I mostly post. So I kind of developed this framework, and I mean it's an 11-step process that I use to work with when I'm working with clients to help them build their brand authority. And a lot of what you just mentioned is like the first three steps, right? Which is, well, step one would be doing that business assessment. So understanding what are your strengths, where you can actually win, doing that competitive analysis to really understand what are the weaknesses of your competitors and how you can position against them. And the reason why the competitive analysis is so important is because it helps you to answer the question before it's asked of what, well, for me at least, for what prospects and potential clients usually ask me, which is, well, why your service over someone else? You know, I know this person that's doing the same thing, so why should we use you? So it helps to answer that question. It helps to also create some sort of differentiation where it becomes very obvious why clients should choose you over someone else. So that's step one. And then step two is what you just mentioned earlier in terms of that research, that client research, understanding their challenges, their problems, because that's what we're going to really use to build out this framework that I'm going to show you in just a second. And then that step three is creating that ideal client profile. Some people call it, I call it your best fit buyer profile, as to who are the ideal buyers or who are the ideal clients based on how you want to position yourself, based on the services that you offer, that you believe are the best fit to work with you. And now step four would be that value proposition canvas where we take all the insights that we gathered from that client research and we kind of fit it into a framework. And that framework is what will help you with your positioning, your differentiation, and also based on what you mentioned, to come up with those content ideas consistently. And the two reasons why this framework is so powerful and why I love it so much is because it helps you to create content that's aligned and relevant to your target audience or your target buyers. And the second thing is that it's also aligned to where you want to build your brand authority, because there are countless other people out there that offer social media marketing services, which is what I believe you primarily offer. So you really want to be able to build that brand authority where you're the go-to choice or the obvious choice or the go-to expert for what it is that you offer versus your competitors or versus someone else, regardless of price, whether they're cheaper than you or not. So what I'm going to do now, if you're ready, is kind of walk through that process. Now, the first three steps that I mentioned, we're going to skip that part because that's something that would literally take days, if not weeks, for us to do. So we're just going to go based on what knowledge you already have about your clients and see how we can build it out from there. This is what I use to build out my the value prop canvas in terms of building out that positioning differentiation, but also for me, I found very relevant to come up with content ideas that aligns with your authority and aligns with your target buyers and audience. So, full disclosure, this specific framework, I didn't come up with the idea. This is from the guys over there at Fletch, from Anthony and Robert. I kind of took their framework and put it into my 11-step process because just the same thing for me, I was lacking clarity. I didn't know, well, what direction should I really take my content? How should I really position myself? And when I came across this, it really helped me to gain that clarity as to how to position myself and what type of content to create. So, Romy, just go through a bit in terms of who your ideal clients are. What are some of the traits and characteristics that describe them?
All right. So as you already know, my strength is social media, and most of my clients that I'm trying to get is more clients that is on the digital marketing aspect. What I found out when I have a discovery call with potential clients, most of the clients say that one of their issue is that either they have worked with other agencies before, and one of the issue is that they don't want an agency that basically just give them brand awareness or engagement. They want to generate leads that leads to sales. That's the focus. So my thing when I pitch to clients is that I'm an agency that will help them to generate leads and that will lead to revenue growth. So that's one of my focus.
One of the things that you mentioned, and we'll get to it shortly. Just let me walk through very briefly what this framework is, so you understand each of the different points in this framework. And if you notice, it kind of has like a flow to it. So we start here and then we move from left to right. So use cases, those are the things in terms of what the client wants to do, right? Either what they want to do or what they're trying to achieve. The current way would be, how are they currently trying to do these things or trying to achieve these things? So it can be a current way where they're doing it themselves, or a current way could also mean that they're using another agency to actually get the job done. Then the problems are, what are the problems that seem to arise from doing it this current way? And then the next step, which is the your way, is, well, how do you actually approach it that is better than how they're currently doing it and helps to solve these problems that they have? And then the final step is the benefit, where you kind of outline, well, what are the benefits from actually doing it your way versus how they were doing it before? So what I want to do, Romain, with you is actually fill out this entire framework and just kind of walk it through each step, so that you can help to get more clarity in terms of what content ideas you want to create. So let's start with use cases. So one of the use cases that you mentioned is generate leads for their business.
Yes.
Can you think of any other use case that? And let me be clear. Use case meaning, what would they come to you for specifically?
All right. So generating leads is definitely one. One of the other cases, I know for most clients always talk about they want to increase brand awareness because they want their brand to be an household name. So increasing brand awareness is like it's key for most of the prospect I've spoken to in the discovery call. Um, Let me see another one. And then there are the other one who want to maybe generate traffic to their website. They might have, maybe they have an e-commerce store, or that's where the appointment comes from. So they want to generate traffic to their website. So those are the three that normally comes up in the discovery calls.
Okay. And based on what they're trying to do or achieve, how do they currently do it? As in, before they actually reach out to you, or you reach out to them, or before they start working with you, how have they been doing this before?
All right. So one of the things that I've seen that the client has been doing before they actually took up my service, they were actually boosting posts on social media. So they weren't running any form of campaign, they weren't doing any form of marketing research. They were just doing the boosting of the posts on social media.
All right. Is there
Um
is there anything else that they were doing?
yeah, they were actually doing basically traditional marketing where they would go out and try to get like they'll try to do like a like have like a pop-up shop or an event where they just go and try to get clients, but they weren't promoting it enough on social media. There was a lot of brand awareness, so as a result of that they weren't getting a lot of people to come out to the event.
You said they weren't getting much brand awareness.
Yes, yeah, on social media. So there are a lot of persons didn't know about the event or when the event would be held. So when they would have the event at a particular date, there was a lot of support, a lot of persons coming out to take up their service.
So one problem you mentioned is not much. awareness.
Yeah.
Would you say for the brand or for the event specifically?
For both the event and the brand.
What other problems do you notice from them boosting posts or doing the pop-up shops events?
Um, there in terms of the, I say for the boost now post, the message was off. The message was not connecting to their ideal buyer or their ideal target audience. So that's one thing I saw when I looked at their social media page.
All right. Anything else you can think of? By the way, you don't need to fill out all three, but if there's a third one, then you can let me know.
Let me think if there's a third one. Um, I think one of the thing it's well, I mean there's an issue in terms of I said generating websites. This particular client, the website is not user friendly. So as a result of that, the client had to actually close down the website or put the website on pause.
Well, that's one thing, but in terms of boosting posts or pop-up shop or event, because what we're
Mhm.
looking for is based on what they're currently doing, what are the problems that arise from their current way of doing things?
Okay. All right. Let me see in terms of the event. I'll get back to that. I think there's something else with the event, but I can't. It's not coming to my brain right now. But I think I can get back to that. Just put
All
it
right,
right
that's
there.
fine.
Once
So
it comes up, I'll let you know. Yes.
yeah, we can leave this one blank for now because, as I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be three. No more than three for any one of these steps. Well,
I
outside of this,
understand.
because there can only be one way that you approach doing things. But anywhere from one to three is fine.
Okay,
All
no
right.
problem.
So this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to generate leads for their business, increase brand awareness, generate traffic to their website. And how they're doing that is by boosting posts and doing pop-up shops or events. The problem that they have is that there is not much awareness for the brand or for these events when they do have them, and the messaging not connecting with audience whenever they boost posts.
Yes.
So, how do you typically approach working with these clients that's necessarily better than how they're currently doing things?
All right. So the first thing I started off with is the customer interview or the customer research.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I start off with to get a better understanding of their ideal buyer or their target audience. I would basically ask them to give me at least 6 to 8 existing customers, persons who have bought from them already, to basically ask them a few questions. So I interview those customers to basically find out, why did they choose a client over the competitor? What were the problems that they faced and how did they feel when the problem was resolved? So I gather those data, I put those data into a framework. And then I would actually also speak to your sales team to get an understanding of who the sales team think is their best fit buyer, or what are the how does the sales team approach their technique and their approach in terms of getting prospect, or what are the questions that they do ask. And I'll gather that information also. When I gather all information, I create like a document to basically send to the client to tell them, okay, this is what the customer say in the customer interview. This is what the sales team says. This is the way we're going to work in terms of creating the message in order to reach your target audience on social media.
So building targeted messaging. Would you say that's
Yes.
what it is?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And based on your experience, what are the benefits that you realize of doing it your way versus how they were doing it before?
All right. So the first thing is that in first benefit is that the content on their social media page started to resonate with their target audience. We saw that more people were reaching out for to in order to query about their product or services.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of also they had they had an what do you call it now, their page started to grow and they started to connect with a younger audience. They were having trouble in terms of connecting with a younger audience. And as a result of the way in which we were creating the content, we were pushing the content to reach out to the Gen Z, the younger audience, and that was that they were getting a younger demographic started reaching out to purchase their product and services.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So this. All right. So based on what you told me, we've now filled out the entire framework.
Okay.
Now, in terms of creating content, right? We know that there are different stages of the buyer's journey. Uh, but just for the sake of simplicity, here's how we can go about doing it now. So the first thing is that they're doing it this current way, and they probably don't know any other way of doing it. So a lot of your content can or revolve around, hey, are you trying to generate leads for your business, increase brand awareness, and generate more traffic to your website? But you've been boosting posts and doing pop-up shops and events, but it's not working because you're not getting much awareness for your brand. Your messaging doesn't connect with your audience. Here's how a better way or a better approach that you can do this. Our approach is we do customer and sales interviews to kind of get a better understanding of your target buyers and why it is that they buy from you. And then from those insights, then we build targeted messaging and run social media campaigns. And from that, then what the result of that is you get content that better resonates, you get increased inbound inquiries, and you get page follower growth and resonance with followers. So you can take it literally as an entire full length step by step, going through each line and kind of outline how you can do that. That's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is by taking each step individually. So I could say that are you trying to generate leads for your business through boosting posts, but you realize that the message isn't necessarily connecting and not necessarily getting a much inbound inquiries that you would like. One of the reasons may be is that you haven't taken the time to do customer interviews to really understand why is it that buyers buy from you. But by doing that, what you'll get is you'll get increase in inbound inquiries, and also you get content that better resonates with your audience. So I'm just kind of helping you to kind of see how you can take everything that you have here and you can mix and match it in different ways to actually come up with content ideas. So that's one in terms of how you can go about doing it. Another way you can do it, which is a lot better and I would say saves you way more time, is by using ChatGPT. So I could come here and I could let me use this. Could come here, go to ChatGPT, and basically everything that you just mentioned here, I can take it and put it into ChatGPT into a prompt and ask it for content ideas. So I could say that I am a social, well, I own a social media marketing agency that does social media management for businesses such as e-commerce stores. Um, who are some other types of clients that would you say that you have?
Yeah, the eye care provider clients,
What what
and
what industry or category would they fall?
would they fall on a medical?
Right. So such as e-commerce stores,
Um,
medical industry.
yeah. I work retail industry client. Supermarket will be on a retail industry, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah,
retail
yeah.
stores.
He had a one-stop shop for big supermarkets.
Right. So
Mhm.
I can start off saying I own a social media marketing agency that does social media management for businesses such as e-commerce, e-commerce stores, medical industry, and retail stores. And then what I would do is I would go back to the framework or the template that I have here. And everything that I have here, I could take it and say, they are trying to generate leads, increase brand awareness, and generate traffic to their website. Increase brand awareness and increase traffic to their website. And I could say currently they're boosting posts and doing pop-up shops and events. Currently, they are boosting posts and doing pop-up shop shops and events. The problem they are experiencing is that they lack brand awareness and little awareness for their events. Um, Also, the message that they put out there does not connect with their audience. Uh, so I could stop here. I'm going to do this one first, and then I'll add the others because I could actually stop here. And I could tell ChatGPT, I want you to create a list of 50 ideas for content that I could create around what I just mentioned. All right, it's actually, this is not what I wanted to do. Um, all right, let me be more specific. Let me take what I had before. How we approach that is better is we do um, customer interviews, speak with the sales team, sales team, and build targeted messaging. I want you to create 50 content ideas on how customer research, and more targeted messaging helps clients generate better leads, uh, and generate more traffic to their website. Right. All right. This is the type of content I want to see. So right away, chat is giving me several content ideas based on how I can position this. So then you can go through and you can look to say which content ideas you want to use, or you can even take what they already gave you and just kind of restructure it how you want it to be. So you could have a content idea that says the importance of understanding your audience. And here it gives you a bit of tip, discuss how customer research helps businesses better understand their audience and create messaging that resonates. And it does the same thing, aligning marketing with customer needs, write about the importance of aligning marketing with efforts, and so on and so forth.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, so just a matter of how you write the prompt. I guess what you could probably do is take each one. So, for example, I can say I own a social media marketing agency for e-commerce stores, retail stores, and medical industry. My clients want to generate leads for their business. The problem is uh, they don't have much awareness for their business. Give me 50 content ideas on how they can generate leads, which is what they want to do. Um, by building more targeted, by building more targeted messaging and the benefits of doing so. The role of pain. Oh, this is a good one. The role of pain points in targeted messaging. But you kind of get the idea, right?
Most definitely. Yes, man. Definitely get that idea. I think this
So
would definitely help me to go forward further in terms of no more writer's block.
yeah, so it's just filling out the template because you want to use the template to kind of guide the type of topics that you create. Because one of the biggest challenges that I see, or one of the biggest mistakes I should say that I see people do is they're trying to build their authority around one thing or one specific focus, but the content that they're creating is all over the place. And the reason why it's all over the place is because they really haven't sat down to figure out and gain clarity on, well, where do I want my focus to be? Where do I want to build my authority? So
Yeah.
this very same exercise, I went through it myself, which is why, because even you have said that the way how I've positioned now is building brand authority or getting clients without having to rely on your network to do so. Right. And the reason why is because I did this exercise. One of the biggest problems that people who I've spoken to have is how to really get clients outside of their network and referrals. And so I built this out and I focus majority of my content around that and just kind of hammering that message consistently and just using ChatGPT to come up with different angles of how I could talk about not relying on your network or referrals. So this is pretty much how you can do the same with this framework and with ChatGPT.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like I'm looking at it and it's like a lot of thoughts are coming to me right now, or even ideas, and I'm like, this is what I needed. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's based on seeing the framework, I have a better understanding now as to actually how to develop the content idea and basically where I want to position my brand and actually trying to build that authority on LinkedIn. Yeah, so thank you very much for that, Winston. Really appreciate it. Thank you for selecting me for this session. And I know going forward, definitely I will be able to generate more content idea for potential clients. So I really appreciate that.